nice keke. Why na kacheo? Asatec roofing sheet die. Enye nice keke o. With the border so echeyi enri na che. Na won kalesa hodo fe bebre. No mo free roofing sheet no die. Who hear that we bia o. Now so the border so ejire so pampe. Utumi so tro mo se ne ope roofing sheet no. We try the sama pepepe.
Mama po Asatec money there. One of my technical advice na estimate free. Our professional installers so want your on-site installation.
Ni bo so kra da pa.
Oh yes, quality and nebo da feminine.
Asatec 5 days pay na mo saka order. Na wo ye after sales service proper binso. Hwehwe Asatec Watema Community 2, Meridian Road, Ebenkoko Board Warehouse, Western Region. So Asatec Takrade Anaji, Yeni Princeland Hotel and the Shini, and the Volta Region, Yawo Akachi South District Assembly Coin Suha.
Blue City is a manufacturer and supplier of high-quality fashion accessories. We design and make quality bow ties, flying ties, lapel pins, ladies' brooches, fabric necklaces, African wares, and so much more for your weddings, schools, institutions, bands, choir, singing groups, individuals, and so many more. We use both African prints and foreign fabrics to make your beautiful accessories for you. Oh yeah! Contact us via call or WhatsApp or SMS on 0240 926 564. Locate us at Odoko Official Town opposite Emils Preparatory School. Check us out on social media, Facebook and Instagram at Blue City Fashion. Blue City, creativity and style.
For joining us once again. We are coming to you live from the premises of the National Pensions Regulatory Authority here at Ridge, the SU building to be precise. So, welcome once again. Hello, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
Okay. So, last week we started with what the MPRA is all about, the reasons why it was set up. We've had a lot of conversations. Now, today we are coming back to who a trustee is. We know that it is someone, a person or a firm who usually keeps our assets, and then as time goes by, we get the benefits, we get some, they also get their share. But can you elaborate more on that?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, the expression trustee or trusteeship or even a trust is very, very key and central to pensions. As the name of SNET connotes, Social Security and a National Insurance Trust. So trust becomes synonymous with pension. And the word trust has its English roots. And it goes way back to the early days of the Crusaders, when soldiers would leave Europe and go to the Holy Land to fight. And sometimes they will stay there for years before they come back. And when they were leaving, they will leave all their property in the care of the older ones who couldn't go to fight, or sometimes people who were not in that capacity to be able to go. But they were trustworthy, people who would look after their property for them before they go. And these people would take care of their property. Sometimes the soldiers will not come back, and when they don't come back, you have to be responsible to even sharing their property in their absence. And when they come back, you have a duty to account. So that was the very early days of trusteeship, and it has grown and grown unto this day. And in pensions, it becomes very, very important because somebody is leaving their asset, leaving their contribution for you to look after over a number of years for them.
Yeah. How do we handpick these trustees in the first place? How do we get them?
Right. A trustee is either a person or a firm, okay? And if you look at our pension laws, there isn't a specific qualification apart from the fact that you are a person who is alive, so you have a pulse, and you don't have a criminal record.
Okay.
These are the two
most important
main requirements. It doesn't talk about your academic qualification or anything of the sort. You're a human being, you're alive, and then you don't have a criminal record. Yes.
So with regards to the mother body, the NPRA, who are your trustees? Can you make mention of them, and how do we get to them as individuals?
Right. I mean, as a regulatory body, we don't necessarily have trustees. Of course, it's the government that set us up.
Okay.
And so in some way, the government has us in trust to look after the regulation of pensions for them. But strictly speaking, we're not trustees. But any institution that is entrusted with funds on behalf of individuals becomes a trust institution or a trustee, or any individual for that matter. So SNIT being the main pension body that we know or we knew of until the Tier 2 and the Tier 3 came on board, becomes the main example of a trust company or a trustee. Yeah. And these days we have also the private pensions that has also got a number of trustees. But us, we are regulators, purely so called. Yeah.
Now, we have the individual trustees, we have the corporate trustees.
Yeah.
Can you tell us the difference, who they are,
Okay.
and then the difference between these two?
As part of our responsibilities as regulators, we are to license trustees. Now, we license both corporate and individual trustees. And the use of the word license is very, very important. Because even though I say you have to have a pulse and you don't have to have a criminal record, we have a duty to check. And you also have a duty to maintain that license, so that whatever qualification that gave you the right to become a trustee, you have to hold on to that trust year in, year out. So to answer your question straight away, currently NPRA has given licenses to certain companies that are registered for that purpose, that is to manage pension funds. And these are called corporate trustees. Corporate in the sense that they are a company.
Okay.
They have the right to sue and be sued. They're a legal entity on their own. But their objective is to manage pension funds. So you apply to NPRA, we look at your company registration, we look at the structure of your directors, your shareholders, and the rules with which you are coming to manage the funds and all your investment guidelines and everything. And on that basis, we give you a license, and you hold on to that license, which is renewable every year.
At a fee?
At a fee.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, then we have individuals who also apply for the license. And these individuals constitute what we call the board of trustees. Every scheme, every pension scheme has to have a board of trustees. And it is the board of trustees, is the members of this board who become the individual trustees. And they also have to apply to NPRA for the same kind of license, which they have to hold on and renew every year, also at a fee, like you're saying. Yeah.
Is it okay if you can mention one or two of these institutions or individuals?
On our website, we have about 20. Currently we have about 20. So I would recommend that anybody go into our website, which is www.npra.gov.gh, because if you mention one and you don't mention the other, you could get yourself in trouble.
Interesting. I mean, I've had the opportunity to read some documents on your website.
Yeah.
I realized that you have 28 of them.
Yeah.
25 are in good standard.
Yeah.
3, I don't know which category I should put them
Right.
into. But what are the reasons? Is it that they didn't meet the requirements? talking about requirements, let's come back to what the requirements would be like if I want to be an individual trustee.
Okay. If you want to be an individual trustee, as I said, there isn't there isn't an academic, qualification for it. Okay. You have to have some knowledge, and as MPRA,
knowledge in terms of managing assets.
Managing assets. So, and we run courses for them. Currently, we have some 3 companies that run courses for them, and the authority is in the process of setting up a pensions college that runs courses so that they can always improve on their knowledge and understanding of pensions, because it's a provision in our law, section 143 and 144, which says that if you are a trustee, you have to maintain a certain knowledge. You need to understand the rules of investment, pension fund management. You need to also understand the simple principles of trusteeship. You have to understand some aspects of how a pension scheme runs. So all those things are part and parcel of the knowledge and understanding which we give them. But every year you have to prove that you maintain that in order to keep your license. And most importantly, your criminal record. So we'll check your background with the BNI, the CID. If you are a foreign trustee, because we have foreign companies that have got bring in foreign directors and people like that, we go to your country to check your background. That is very, very important for us. Your criminal background is very, very important for us. Yeah.
So the issue of renewing your license every year, if today, this year you are okay, you are good to go, you are able to maintain or manage the monies or the funds that have been put in your care, and then the following year you are able to add up, or you are not able to add up, will the license be taken from you?
Yes, we have.
Everyone needs to go.
Yeah, we have revocation of license. There are reasons, so many reasons why, even as a corporate trustee or as an individual trustee, your license can be revoked.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are some of the reasons?
There are so many reasons. Yeah. Maybe simply because within the course of the year, you've had a criminal record, your background has become shady, whatever reasons that kept your license alive, the circumstances have changed. That will be a grounds for the revocation of your license. I cannot pinpoint any one specific, but at the end of the year, we take it as if you're coming in for the first time. So we check everything again.
Wow.
We check everything again. If you presented a certificate, for example, nobody is saying that academic requirement is needed. But let's say you present a certificate that you hold a master's in something. We go and check that background because you've brought your own reputation into question. We check it and it's not there. It's a grounds for the revocation of your license, for example. Yeah. So
now, with the issue of fraud, the issue of people taking people's monies and then they cannot really account for it. These are some of the reasons why we are asking these questions, because the trust itself in the financial sector has a question mark.
Absolutely.
People cannot trust people enough to even give their monies out. With these 3 people or these 3 entities that have been taken out of the list, we had 28, now it has come down to 25. These 3, is it that they didn't meet the requirement, or they had something to do with the funds, or did not invest in a good business?
Right. You've asked 2 questions. We've talked about fraud and we've talked about these particular corporate trustees whose maybe license have not been renewed. Fraud is very, very, very crucial. We have specific provisions in our law on fraud, because it's one of the biggest risks that you can face in pensions and generally, people who are entrusted with funds of other people, interests of other people. So we have clear provisions, and fraud leads to imprisonment. Trust, a breach of trust in our law can lead to imprisonment. Okay. Now, this particular corporate trustees you're talking about may not necessarily be because of fraud. That's why their licenses are not being renewed. Our license is it's a season-long application. We start from the middle of the year, and you may not necessarily be able to meet all the requirements in one application. So if we find out that, for example, your annual report is not yet in or came in late, you have to give reasons why your annual report came in late, or we will wait until your annual report is in before we will give you your license. Let's say your fund manager that you have employed to give you investment advice, that fund manager's registration hasn't, or license with SEC hasn't gone through. For that reason, we will hold you back. We would make sure that you have met every requirement. So you may not necessarily have committed any offense, but because, let's say, your custodian still hasn't got their license, your fund manager still hasn't got their license, you know, all those things can count against you. Your auditors, external auditors, haven't audited your account, and for that reason, you cannot pass it as, you know, having been audited, because we only look at audited account. So until all those things come in, you will sit on our website as if you've committed an offense, but not necessarily so. Yes, but there may be other reasons too. So when you see a corporate trustee not in good standing, it doesn't necessarily mean that they are doing something wrong. Yeah.
Now, with the tier 1, we know that the tier 1 goes to Senate, the tier 2 goes to
these the 25 or 28 corporate trustees you're talking about. Yeah, those are the ones that the tier 2 will go to.
The tier 2 holds.
Yeah, it goes to those corporate trustees. Because that is the basic national social security, and it is managed by SNIT. So that you would say there's some kind of a monopoly on that side, and it's not for no reason that the law did it that way, because they are the primary trust company that we all know. So, and there's a separate arrangement as to even how they collect, invest, and then pay you at the end of your working life. So this is tier 1. Then the tier 2, which is a new concept that has come in over the last 10 years, it pays you a lump sum. It pays you a lump sum on your retirement. So whatever you give them, together with your investment returns, is what they will give you back at the end of your working life. So that is a tier 2. The tier 3 is voluntary. It's voluntary. Yeah. Yes, of course. Yeah. But that also is managed by the same corporate trustees, the private corporate trustees. Yeah. And they also pay a lump sum. Yeah, they also pay a lump sum. The only difference is that tier 1 and tier 2 are mandatory. Tier 3 is voluntary. Yeah.
Do they also invest these monies that we give them on a monthly basis? Do they invest? And how much are they supposed to give us at the end of the month? We know the percentage that SNIT is supposed to give individual based on the monthly premiums that we pay.
Yeah.
And so what are we supposed to on this?
Supan na wanya pomuden se wo banum nso a hwe hu ni se eye migo purified mineral water eye nso a yeti ni baby pa asanso ni se kroje se wonya migo purified mineral water bogu ubu a wo see you manum nso pa migo mineral water de edanso esan say the modern technology so na aye ede na nkabia ni atri migo purified mineral water bacteria na mhenu abewram eye very hygienic obiye di one dance here migo mineral water neatly packaged for 500 ml bottles chemicals mu na wani boso a na okon donsio wo benya Migo purified mineral water to bebia to phone call dodo wa amount 40 per junction and after 050 7055 409 and 055 392 1088 Migo purified mineral water akona kono.
Ago, good people of Ghana. Here are some safety measures on prevention of coronavirus. 1. Cover your mouth with tissue when you cough or sneeze. Dispose of tissue into a bin immediately you cough into it and wash your hands with soap and the running water. Avoid shaking hands and use sanitizers as often as you can. Signs and symptoms of coronavirus include fever, cough, sneezing, and difficulty in breathing. Should you experience any of these, or for more inquiries, please contact 0558 439 868. That's 0558 439 868 or call 0509 497 700. That's 0509 497 700.
Remember to always wash your hands with soap and the running water.
This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Health, the Ghana Health Service, and partners.
Once again, we are sorry for cutting you, but we are still here with the NPRA in the office here at the SU building itself. So here we are today. Today, this is what we are discussing, trustees, in terms of our pension funds and stuff. So welcome.
Thank you very much.
Now, SNIT gives us after retirement, after 60 years, or if you want to retire at 50 years, it depends on you. But when you retire, SNIT gives you a certain amount. And then after that, on a monthly basis, you go and then you take. Yeah. I mean, there's a percentage that SNIT gives you. The tier 2 also gives you the same thing. But with these trustees, how do we make sure that we are getting the same percentage that they actually promised when we first started our contributions with them?
Yeah, right. The use of the word promise is is relative, but of course, you've entrusted your money to them, so they are obliged to pay you at the end of your working life. We, as regulators, have given the industry what we call investment guidelines. And every scheme has to operate within the investment guideline. The guideline tells you asset classes that you can invest pension funds in. And the maximum limit of the percentage of the pension funds that can go into it. And that is the reason why you have to engage the services of a fund manager.
Okay.
So
every trustee must...
Every trustee, yeah. Because I come back to the fact that you don't have to have any qualification to be a trustee, other than honesty, other than honesty and not having a criminal record and still breathing. So you may not necessarily have a knowledge about investment.
Okay.
You may not necessarily have a knowledge about banking. But all these things are necessary to run a pension fund.
Okay.
So you employ a fund manager. So the word fund manager is very popular. But the fund managers are not trustees. They are service providers who are employed to technically advise the trustee. Now look, there is
so you are saying that the money goes to them, rather? Is that it?
The money goes to the bank. There's a bank, it's called a custody. You see, yeah. So the money will go to the bank. And then they will inform the trustee that we've taken certain quantum of payment from the contributors. And then the pension fund manager, who has been employed by the trustee, will advise the trustee that, look, there is, say, this government bond, which is returning an interest of, say, 19%, is very good. So why don't you invest
on that? Okay, so they will tell you actually what to invest in.
Exactly. Okay. That is what the fund manager primarily does. They will tell you whether to invest in the government bonds or
private bonds or something,
private equity or fixed deposits or shares. So they are the ones who will give you the advice.
Okay.
And then upon that advice, you give instruction to the bank that
to do it. Okay.
And then the bank will do it, and then the investment certificate will go to the bank. Okay. And then on the maturity of the investment, whatever you put in, you get the returns. So it is the returns together with the contribution that the individual gets on their retirement. Yeah. So it's a beautiful process, but it is not the trustee ultimately who does the investment, but he has or she has on that. Yes, experts or service providers who do them on their behalf. But whatever happens, because for every investment there's a risk. The ultimate risk is with the trustee. The ultimate risk is with the trustee.
So if you get zero profit out of whatever you invested, what happens to us? I mean, those of us who have invested, it is our money, so what happens to us? Are we getting a lump sum? Are we getting a profits in addition to whatever we have sent to them?
Yeah.
We get
Trust would. It will not come to that. But if there is any, let's say, COVID, situation, and therefore investment returns are not exactly where we expect them to be, the ultimate responsibility is a trustee. He takes the responsibility for it. And that's why we use the expression fiduciary responsibility. Fiduciary responsibility here means that you have a duty to inform the contributor. If there are any problems with the investment, let them know. You have a duty of loyalty. You put the contributor's interest above everyone, above your own interest.
Wow.
You have a duty of prudence to invest my money effectively and make sure that it gives me good returns. You should be able to see ahead, and you have a duty to let me know if there is anything that can potentially go wrong. And it is all these duties that we put together we call fiduciary responsibility. And if you miss that fiduciary responsibility, you go to jail. I mean, I cannot put it in any other terms rather than that. You can go to jail for not taking that fiduciary responsibility duty properly. So being a trustee is not just a simple job. It starts simply by saying you don't need any qualification. That's why honesty is key, because putting somebody's interest above your own interest is not easy unless you have a special skill, a special ability beyond academic, but some moral responsibility in you, because people can entrust their money with you for at least 45 years. The law says you can join a pension scheme at 15 and exit at 60. So if I leave my money with you for 45 years and pay you fees to look after it for me, and you mess about it, the 2 years that the law says, for me, it's even too soft.
So we should increase it?
Yes.
Interesting. I think that would have to go through a lot of process. Now, still, you get to know that there are permitted investments that either a pension fund manager or a trustee should venture into. Which ones are not permitted by you?
You cannot put pension funds into Ponzi schemes, for example. Okay. Savings and loans, you cannot put pension funds into savings and loans.
What is it? It's a legit thing.
the risk
involved
is high.
okay
Pension funds must be put into investments that give safe and fair returns.
okay
Of course, talking about safety, I said every investment has got its risk, but the risk must be minimal. And that is why we have given those areas as the permissible investable areas. We have the traditional asset classes, and we also have some alternative asset classes. So on our website, you would see the investment guideline, which is now even being reviewed. Every 2 years, we need to look at it because investments keep changing. New products come to the market. Riskier ones come to the market. We all know in our country not too long ago, there was some mouth-watering investment that a lot of people were going into.
yeah
Pension funds will not run into that kind of investment. It gives you good return within a very short period of time. Here today, gone tomorrow. That is not what pension fund investment is about. So we have to be very, very clear. Yeah.
How does the MPRA get to know that, look, this trustee has ventured into a Ponzi scheme, or what we mentioned earlier? How do you know?
Every month, you have to give us custody account statement and then investment statement.
Okay.
So we monitor that on monthly basis. So we know which asset classes your investments are going into. You have not also exceeded the per usual limit because you have 100%. And within the 100%, there are certain percentages that must go into any one particular asset class. So we monitor that. It's one of the biggest areas of our monitoring. And even more so, we are going to introduce what we call risk-based supervision, which will help us to monitor this in real time. So every investment that you put pension funds into, the regulator will be able to see how much you've put in there and whether you are within the limits.
Interesting. Now let's come back to, we cannot mention a trustee without a pension fund manager. You indicated earlier. Who are they? How do these trustees appoint them to manage their funds for them?
The fund managers are licensed by Securities and Exchange Commission. Okay, so they're not licensed by us. So they are a group of firms on their own. Under SEC, they can also manage some funds, but not necessarily pension funds. They come into the pension environment only as investment advisors.
Okay.
And it is a trustee who employs them. But once you come into our domain, we must know who you are. So once you
have to go through the process?
Exactly.
Okay.
So you apply for registration with us, and then we will go to SEC to see whether you have a license with them.
So you only register them but don't license them?
Yes, we don't license them.
Okay.
So SEC would have done all the background checks on them and license them. But we also go beyond what SEC has done to also check on our own, because you are coming into our space. So we have every responsibility and every duty to do that. So we will check your background, we check your company registration, we will check the history that you have, you know, in as far as investments is concerned, your qualification and everything, before we will license you to work with a particular trustee.
So do you also select the trustees that they are supposed to, or the trustees are supposed to come with them?
It is the trustees who actually select them. So once we have given them the registration, we say to the whole world that currently I think there are about 43. These 43, we know them. We've checked their background. So anybody who wants to employ them, you can do that. Yeah, so the trustees out of the 43 will choose whichever ones they want to advise them on investments. Yeah.
Have you ever refused an application of registry?
Several times.
On what basis?
You don't meet the requirements, you know. Simply, you don't meet the requirement. There's a criteria. We have a whole licensing and registration directorate whose sole responsibility is to check any company that is coming in, check their background, check their trustees, their shareholding structure, and all those things. And what they say they are coming to do they have any experienced staff who have done this before? Do they have some kind of knowledge and all those things? And then once they have looked at them and they are okay, then it will go to our board. So it is not even at management level, it goes to our board. And the board has a committee that looks at what management has looked at, and then they will give a concurrence approval before a trustee is licensed. If you haven't met the requirement, you will not even go to that extent.
How long does this whole process take? A month, 2?
I think the law says 90 days.
90 days.
Yeah. So if I put my application in there and you would not give me the approval, you should let me know by within 90 days. And if there are any corrections that I need to, if I don't measure up in this area and I need to bring extra documents, then I can do that. But 90 days is the limit. Yeah. So it's either yes or no within the 90 days. Yeah.
There are issues of investment policy. Is it the same thing that you mentioned earlier in terms of what we are supposed to invest in, what we are not supposed to invest in, and the likes?
Yeah.
With the pension fund managers.
That is in the investment policy. It is very clear, the investment guideline. And so when you're coming to register a scheme, you have to give us your investment policy, and that investment policy must fall within our guideline. The guideline is the whole superstructure, and your policy must fall within it. And we will look at the agreement, your investment agreement with the fund manager, the custody agreement with the custodian, and see whether they actually meet our requirements. Because we have a regulation, it's called LI 1990, and in that, all the requirements are in. If we look at your investment agreement with the fund manager or your custodian agreement with the custody agreement with the custodian, and it sends against our regulations, we will not approve it. I mean, pension supervision is very, very crucial. We are a creature of the law, and therefore we must operate within the law, the Pensions Act, and then the regulations that are created under the Act. Yeah.
So all these are done, solely to protect our money.
Yes, absolutely. And we do all these to protect the contributor. We always say that the contributor is the best regulator, but he or she is busily working. May not necessarily know even how much of their money is going into pension. They don't know. We talk about 18.5%. 13.5% will go to SNAID, 5% will go here. Not all workers even know this. As for the worker, all he or she knows is that at 60, I should go on retirement. And sometimes it's a shock to their system when they're 60 and they go, and then the calculation shows them something which is below their expectation. So in between the times that they are working, you, the regulator, has to be their eye and their ear. So you hold the trustees accountable. Regular inspections, on-site and off-site, to make sure that the contributor's interest is always supreme. Yeah.
Now with SNAID, I think I stand to be corrected, from October 2020, SNAID gives us a statement. I don't know if it's on monthly basis or on a quarter basis or something. With these pension fund managers, with these trustees, are they obliged to give us a statement to let us know the amounts that we've contributed so far?
It is their duty. The duty to inform. When I was talking about trusteeship, as part of the fiduciary responsibility, they have a duty to inform. Yeah, and the duty of loyalty. So they have to let you know how much has been has been paid on your behalf. Because oftentimes employers may deduct the money. You may see it on your pay slip that the deduction has been made, but they don't pay. They don't remit on your behalf. The worker is not supposed to know. So the issuing of statements will let the worker know that there are gaps between October and December of 2020, no payments were made on my behalf. And then they will let the regulator know, and then we will chase up for them. So by the time the person goes on retirement, in statement, there are no gaps. That is what we all expect. So it is your responsibility as the scheme administrator, that is the trustee, to give statement. SNIT has done it in such a way that once you key in your social security number and certain fields, it will give you your statement. The private corporate trustees are also doing the same thing electronically. So if your trustee is not doing that, question it, because we have what we call the consumer protection policy, which requires the trustee to give you your statement.
Now, we know that there's COVID-19, we are battling it. We are not yet done. And so at any point, if I lose my job, I'm not able to contribute to SNIT, I'm not able to contribute my 2-tier or my 3-tier. What should I do as a contributor? What should the trustee do in his stead as someone managing or taking care of my funds?
All things being equal, there shouldn't be any gaps, COVID or no COVID. But we all know the reality. Some companies shut. Some companies even laid off some of their staff. There was clear evidence, even tax havens were given to some companies because they couldn't operate. So the COVID situation is an exception, but nevertheless, unless there is clear evidence that you were not working, if you were not working, obviously you cannot contribute. If you were not working, or your employer was not operating, unless there is that clear evidence, there shouldn't be any reason why there should be gaps in your pension contribution. Government introduced a number of measures and also some safeguard measures. Some organizations were given some monies to keep them running, and then also introduced a situation where people who had provident funds could, make claims and not pay taxes and stuff like that. The law, the income tax amendment law said if anybody is affected by COVID, that person can withdraw their pension contribution without paying any taxes. That was allowance was made. But yes, nevertheless, some employers have taken advantage of the fact that COVID, especially the time when we went into lockdown, when a number of issues. So yes, we anticipate that when people retire, long time to come, between March of 2020 and maybe January of 2021, something came to the world called COVID, and for that reason there were some gaps. So some allowances can be made, but we're hoping that it will not be widespread.
But can I, at any point in time, I'm contributing the 3-tier. It's not compulsory. I did it voluntarily. Now, after 2 years, I decided not to continue. What should I do? Should I go back to
the 3rd tier? Is voluntary. Yes, you can have holidays. You can have payment holidays. There's no mandatory aspect to it. But what? So that one, yes, you can afford not to continue. We can only persuade and encourage to do more. To do more. But for tier 1 and tier 2, no excuses. No excuses.
Interesting. Now let's come back to the last bit. We have some few minutes to wrap up. The custodians.
Yes.
Who are trustees? Who are pension? Who is the custodian?
The custodians are primarily banks.
Okay.
So banks have their license from Bank of Ghana, but they will apply for what we call custody license from SEC, from Securities and Exchange Commission. So it is not their usual day-to-day banking activity. This is specifically to take custody of pension funds. So it is a bank, but it is not every bank that is a custodian.
Okay.
It can be a bit complicated, So as big a bank as Barclays, for example. Everybody knows Barclays. It's huge, but it's not a custodian.
Wow.
Yeah. Because they haven't gone for a license.
I mean, the new ABSA?
Yes, the new ABSA. We don't know them in pensions, for example. Yeah.
Okay.
Many banks are there who are not custodians, but we have 17
of them.
Of them, 17 custodians. And as I said, theirs is to do the collection, and then on instruction from the trustees, do the investment and take the investment certificates. Okay. Any returns that is coming back into the scheme is given to them, and then within 48 hours, they don't hold the money for long. So if pension funds are with a particular bank, and let's say the bank goes down, it doesn't mean that the pension funds have gone down with them. The
so are they indigenous or are they foreign banks?
Indigenous.
Okay.
Indigenous banks.
But a foreign bank cannot?
A foreign bank can.
Okay.
Stanchart is a custodian. It's a foreign bank, it's a custodian.
And what are the requirements?
The custody requirement, again, you have to have a valid license from Bank of Ghana. You have to have a valid license from SEC. Okay, you have to have the ability, the credibility as a bank. Like everybody, you have to be visible, you know, because contributions will be made to you. So the bigger your network, the better for you, so that the contributions can come to you. Of course, together with the same thing, your trustees, your directors, your shareholding structure, we need to know. If you have some kind of a related business in the pensions, we must also know, because you cannot have a related business. Let's say we have some banks that had investment companies.
Okay.
So
they can sell policies out.
Yes.
Okay.
You cannot do business within your own, and sometimes they all belong to a group. You cannot do business within your group as far as pensions is concerned. It's got a related party, and we really, frown on it. Yeah, we really frown on it. Yeah.
Interesting. Wrapping up, what would you say to us? I mean, yeah, contributors. We always have our money somewhere, be it tier 1, tier 2, and then the voluntary one, the third tier. I mean, it's not compulsory, but we still wish to do it. Some of us have it. What would you say to us? What should be our confidence? What should drive us to do more?
The confidence, what I would say to contributors is, of course, apart from the tier 1 and 2, which is mandatory and sets limits, the law says you can invest up to 35% of your salary, if you can afford it, 35% of your salary tax-free. So a very clever way and legal way of avoiding the taxes to put it in pension. So you still have 16.5% of your salary that can go into tier 3 tax-free. So there is always room for more contribution in the third tier. You see, we talk about a 3-tier pension system, but most often we operate only on the 2-tier. If we really want to have a retirement income security, it is the third one that's going to give you what it is. Yes, 16.5%. It's almost equal to the tier 1 and tier 2. If you can, those who have a large income, I think that's the best way to invest your income in pension. So there's always room for many and more. And I would say the third tier must be encouraged. And people who are in the informal sector, it's just a myth that, it's only people who are in white and blue collar jobs, those who get monthly salaries, who can do pension. No, pension is for everyone. The third tier is for everyone. So I would say a lot of people should be encouraged, and you can go to SNIT if you work on your own. Even if you don't know of any corporate trustee that can do this for you, walk to SNIT. SNIT is everywhere.
But who is responsible for these people to be educated, especially the informal sector, as we mentioned?
You and I. A media like you, it's a national responsibility. Of course, we have a duty to inform. The corporate trustee also has a duty that the media, you reach far and wide. A program like this gives the best opportunity for people to know. So we have to partner in our education and sensitization so that certain myths can be broken, you know, and we can expand the pension to reach every household in our country.
The media would always do their part. I mean, would always be there to help educate. But when we are done, what other role would the NPRA play in terms of getting more people to rope onto any pension scheme at all?
I like that question. When we are done, we also do the same thing. We'll have what we call market activation. We can go to Kaneshie Market, we can go to Makola, we can go to Malata today on our van and then shout the rooftops, join pension, do this, that. But when we are done, it is the corporate trustee, it is SNET. They will have to register the people. They will have to mop up, because we don't run schemes.
Yeah.
And rightly so, you also don't run schemes. You can only inform, you can only educate. But it is the corporate trustees who, so sometimes when you go, they'll ask us, so who should we join? I'm like, go to our website and the names are there, because I don't want to mention
someone.
Yes, because I have a story to tell where I mentioned a corporate trustee as an example, and the following day my phone would not stop ringing. You have given business to this corporate trustee at our expense. So so don't mention anybody's name. Even when you go to our website and you see them, don't.
Interesting. Now my grandma, I mean, we have Kai in almost all of the markets across Ghana. But I mean, with them, most of them, quote and unquote, most of them do not even know what education is. And so how do we get them to roll on to any of the pension schemes? Where do they even go to in the first place? As they don't even know what the website is.
They don't know where the website is. It's a good question. I mean, I am always not worried to mention SNET because it's a peculiar of a kind. It is, you know, and
it's just number one.
Yes, so
when you mention pensions,
okay,
the first thing that comes to mind.
So we can walk into SNET
and
say, I want to voluntarily contribute to pensions. They will take you in. But if you can also, for those who can, explore our website, you go to our website, we have a list of corporate trustees, and they are everywhere. You can just register with them. When you
I think they have their contacts there.
Their contacts
with
are
the person you are going to contact, the name and then the telephone number.
They're all,
it's on the
all
website.
there.
It's there.
We make that provision for them. Alternatively, walk to SUTA. Walk to SUTA. When you come, we'll give you the list.
Interesting. Now this one says, please ask the CEO that how can those of us living in around Tema and its environs access the scheme? Tema.
We have an office coming up.
In
Tema.
There.
We have an office in Tema. Currently, we're in Kumasi, we're in Takrady, we're in Sunyani, we're in Tamale, and we're going to Tema very soon. Yeah. So, and our network is far and wide. Of course, we need to be in all 16 regions.
All 16 regions,
We need to be able.
Interesting. So thank you very much for your time. Thanks for the education. We are so grateful for everything. I mean, the education has been good, and we hope that this would be another. I think you have a number to mention to us.
Yes, if you want to reach us by phone, it's 0302 968 692.
Okay.
Or 0302 968 693. So either 92 or 93. You can reach us on that. Or you can alternatively go to our website www.mpra.gov.gh.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
For your time. So you heard it all. If you want to access any of the pension scheme, please do well to visit their website. If you cannot, the numbers have been mentioned. Do well to call. When you call, someone will walk you through what you are supposed to do, who you are supposed to see. The list will be given to you. You can choose from it, and life goes on. But to those of us, having the contributors' money, please let's do well to invest them properly so that the returns will be huge for both. The two of us are going to benefit. You, the firm, and then we as individuals are going to benefit. You heard everything that you're supposed to know on pensions. Today is the time for you to roll on any of the pension scheme. Do not say you are going to do it tomorrow. Do not procrastinate. Please do well to do it today. Do it now for your own retirement benefits. The education would continue on Adoatv through till the end of March. And so make it a point to watch us each and every day. My name is Nafali Kwaku. Thanks for watching Regulators here on Adoatv. But we'll make sure to bring you the other edition in the evening. At 7 you get to watch it again. So if you were not able to watch, please do well to share the link with another person for the person to also get that education. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you.